various locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Storm the Bastille. We're off to Pocono, Pennsylvania on Bastille Day. Nice of you to join us. Todd Bailing in Linden Station, USA. Joined by my three partners spread out over the state of Wisconsin. Brian Schmidt over in Oostburg on the eastern part of the state. Hi, Brian.
Morning. You know when you're getting old, when you go to a race, like last night I went to Plymouth, and it was their Wall of Fame induction ceremony. Yeah. When every single person they're putting on the Wall of Fame, I personally knew and watched race except for two of them. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not. There's a couple other friends of mine too. They're saying that. I didn't think we were this old, but I guess we are.
You're not even that old. PJ Noodleman over in Trempealeau, USA on the good old Mississippi. Hi.
Hi. Mississippi mighty high today, that's for sure.
I bet. Yeah. Flood warnings everywhere. And, of course, our own Dangerous Dan over in St. Francis, Wisconsin. You didn't go to any races last night, did you?
No, I did not. And, Brian, you know how you really feel you're getting old? And Todd will attest to this. When your name goes up on one of those walls of fame, like it's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That. And if your name isn't up there, maybe you're just not old enough yet. Who knows? Well, we're glad you joined us here at Pocono Sunday. Ty Gibbs will start from the pole today. He went over a little over 170 miles an hour, 170.039. We've got 160 laps at that track today. It's going to be lap 30, lap 95 of the 160. Those are the stages. The green flag will be at 1:35 this afternoon. It'll be on USA, so you can't watch it on your over-the-air type thing. You're going to have everybody seems to be watching everything on either satellite or streaming or, cable. It seems like nobody watches with an antenna anymore, do they? I guess we all just have a little
Only when you have a storm coming through and you're forced to. That's about it.
No kidding. Isn't that the case? They've been racing at Pocono this weekend. Xfinity raced yesterday. I have to admit I didn't see much of either of these races. Cole Custer was your winner, first win of the year in his Ford in the Xfinity series. Boy, I was in and out. I was watching it, and I saw them, the announcers seemed to think it was going to be a foregone conclusion that Cole Custer was going to win that thing. Why is that? Was he that much better than everybody?
Yeah, I think he pretty much all weekend
he showed
the cars. Yeah, and he was consistent speed, I think, was a big thing, right? I mean, other guys kind of took their shots, and then I think from practice and even part of qualifying into the race, that car was consistently among the top cars in there. So, I mean, I know when I was doing my fantasy lineup yesterday, I really thought about picking him, and I didn't, and I should have.
Yeah.
You always think what you want to do, and then I should have done that, and I was thinking about doing it, don't do it, and I didn't. So, I mean, he was kind of the car to beat. I took William Byron. That's what kind of instead of him, and it didn't work out.
And ended up right up there too. The trucks race too. Corey Heim was your winner, kind of dominated that thing. Ty was in it for quite some time, but my God, he's had some terribly, terribly bad luck in that series.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was the alternator yesterday. He got up to fifth, and he came over his scanner, and he said he's got 9 volts left on the battery. So they were having him shut things down, and then eventually his dashboard went blotto. So he came in to pit, and they ripped that battery out, put a new one in. He goes back out over the radio. He says, this one has 12 volts, so it's got to be the alternator that we got a problem with. So they just tried to limp it to the end.
Luke Fenhouse also raced at Pocono in one of his very rare truck appearances. He finished 22nd, but he did lead 4 laps. What was that? I mean, did other cars not pit? I didn't really follow.
It was during there was a section there where it was like pit strategy. They stayed out.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, today's Pocono race is sold out. Woohoo! How about that? Good for them. It's they needed that. We all need that. The sport needs that. The ratings need everything they can get. And again, I believe that we have turned the corner and things are starting to go the other direction. So it's all good, no matter how you look at it.
Pocono's had really good attendance since they went to the one race deal, which I think was a smart move. If you remember, 5-6 years ago, they used to have two races, and what were they like within 6 weeks of each other? And that really watered it. Yeah, and that really watered it down. So now that they have just one race, it's a must-see event. You know, if you want to see them and you live in that part of the country, you got to go to that one race, and that's why they fill it up.
And then they also did a doubleheader for a while. Remember they did a weekend where they had two races, a Saturday Sunday deal.
Yeah, wasn't it? Roger Penske came up with that bright idea.
But Pocono's a neat track, though. I mean, it's different. I mean, it's a triangle shape, kind of. It's three corners. How many times we race on a racetrack that only has three turns, and they're all distinct. One's like Trenton, one's like Indy, and one's like Milwaukee Mile. I think that's how the three put together. It's a track with character.
The tunnel.
It doesn't. Go ahead, Peach. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say the tunnel creates a lot of interesting racing as well too. The tunnel turn there.
Speaking of distinctly different races, the boys were down in Chicago last weekend. I'm going to have to get your take on the whole weekend, but it was. I tried, because I went to Slinger to be a spectator, not to work. I missed. I set the VCR. Listen to me. I set it to tight, and it did not record the damn thing. The DVR just went berserk, and I missed most of it. And then I'm trying to fast forward, and then I missed this, missed that. I saw who won. I finally got sorry. I mean, I was just disgusted with everything, and I did catch the final, but 58 laps completed out of 75 laps because, of course, they ran out of light. Why is it that we started that race at 4:00 in the afternoon? What was the logic behind that? There was that IndyCar race.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an IndyCar race before, but they had a solid hour in between there. It has more to do with the concerts. They fit two concerts in. Laura Elena played at 11, and Keith Urban played at 1. And then Keith Urban played from 1 until 2:30, and then you had to do driver introductions. I mean, I guess if you really want to be honest with themselves, they could have started that thing probably 45 minutes earlier than they did, which would have probably gotten the majority of the race in. But, TV, NBC had to have their long pre-race. And, I mean, my DVR captured when the pre-race started. And the drivers were still coming out of the drivers' meeting. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, what a long pre-race. Completely unnecessary. So if, in fact, we try to do this again, one would think the third time they would start the race earlier. But you never know.
I think a lot of your fans there were not really race fans in particular. They were more, and they were trying to see it for the first time, so you kind of lured them there with a concert. And I think a lot of people came for the concert and said, yeah, we'll stick around for the race. And the concerts went off first, and then the race was second, and, the rain kind of came at that point. But I think that was the whole thing that I don't think a lot of those fans were diehard race fans. I think there were a lot of people that were going to check out the event and see what it's all about, and they were hoping to kind of, draw them in.
And Dan, that's the key word. It was an event. What I just feel bad about is that for an event that's 2 years in a row now, they've had to deal with rain. And from everything I've seen and heard, the rumor is that it's going to be the same weekend next year. So, it can rain in Chicago in the middle of summer. We all know that because it's the same crap up by us all the time. Last year, we didn't have very much rain all summer long. And this year, well, we're making up for last year, apparently. So,
and many people are going to say, we have the tires. Why aren't we racing in the rain? Well, on a street circuit, it's designed to drain like we have in every street. But because we put these temporary walls up, and these walls are put up in front of the curb, so they block a lot of these catch basins. You can't put these heavy walls on top of the curb because you're going to crush it and you're going to break the sidewalk. So they're kind of in a catch-22 there as to what they can do. If you could get the thing to drain properly, you could probably ran that race without having to stop it a lot. But the ponding where the water couldn't get into the storm drains like on a normal street was bad enough that the cars would have hydroplaned and you would have wrecked the whole field. So that was why we couldn't keep going.
We'll talk more about Chicago, and boy, there's been some interesting developments around NASCAR lately. Good stuff to talk about. We'll be right back.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
This stuff is so predictable. Everybody's freaking out with Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is picking on her and hard fouls. Women who have committed flagrant fouls are not all villains. Diana Taurasi had one last year. Is she a villain?
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Well, we've known that Stewart Haas Racing is going away. That's no big news. We've heard about it. It's going to come back in a different, a little bit of a different name, Haas Factory Team, and it's pretty much expected that Cole Custer is going to be the one driver there. But everybody else from the team has now, with the exception of Priest, has found themselves a ride, and good for all of them. We've known already that Josh Berry is going to be going over to the Wood Brothers, driving the 21 car. We know that Chase Briscoe got probably the best of the bunch, going over to drive for Coach Gibbs and that whole team and take over the 19 car. But we did find out this week that Noah Gragson is going to go to Front Row Motorsports. Interesting. All the way around. Front Row has continued to make strides. The McDowell team has gotten better all the time. We've been watching how good he's gotten. He's running up front. He's winning a race occasionally. He's been in the conversation. McDowell and his crew chief, Travis Peterson, are both going over to Spire, which continues to, by the way, make aggressive moves. And speaking of aggressive moves, they signed Rodney Childers this week. I guess, guys, I didn't see that coming, but you certainly understand it. Barry had made it was very public about wanting to take Childers with him over to the Wood Brothers, but we were never really positive that was going to happen, were we?
No, not really. I mean, if it would have happened, I think they would have announced it right away when they announced the driver. And I get it. The Wood Brothers got their own kind of, crew chief pipeline with Penske going on there, and they believe in him. And so I'll see what he can do with Josh Berry. Childers over to Spire. That's kind of a surprise. I didn't realize. I think he'd go there, but that's where he is. And now you look at that team. That 7 car is you got a proven crew chief. You're doing everything. I think it's time to shine some spotlight on the driver over there, and he's going to have to produce because, we're putting everything around him to make it happen.
No excuses.
Right, exactly. LaJoy, it's time to step up. And you know what? I think that he already feels the pressure because over at Spire, they're all saying, we got ourselves a championship crew chief over here. Well, that's right, you do. And so maybe if we're changing cogs in the wheel, there's only one major cog that's left. And if Corey LaJoy doesn't start winning races, it might be just time to go because there certainly are going to be some other drivers to choose from in the event that does that. I'm just amazed at how aggressive Spire is. They certainly have money, and Dan, all the pieces have been put in the correct place, but now we're looking at do we have all the pieces in place? What about do they have enough of these tokens to go around? Is that a fully chartered team?
Yeah, they are. The 7 and the 77 are their two cars, and they kind of stepped up last year,
weren't they?
The 71. Well, the 71, the 71 was going to be McDowell next year, so they'll have the three charters. They were loaning that. They were running Zane Smith for Trackhouse because they needed some place to park him, and that's going away. But they really stepped up their game about a year ago, and they started putting everything together. I think a lot of it came when the Gainbridge sponsorship got signed. That's a lot of money there. I think that's kind of the big deal. And they're really involved behind the scenes in getting sponsors for other teams and stuff. I mean, there was some talk earlier on that how's this going to work and when you're out fishing for sponsors for other teams, and now you're kind of – when you were kind of just the backmarker type team, nobody really cared. But now if you're going to become a major player, there might be some conflict of interest there. Now, how are you going to try to find sponsors for other teams? That's part of their business outside of racing. Plus run your own team and get sponsors for yourself. So I think they're looking to make a big step up, and it started about 2 years ago, and it's just continuing now, with Childress signing. So,
and we have a caller too that might want to chime in on something.
Good. Thank you, PJ, because I didn't see that. Yes. Okay. That is John. Up in Horicon, Wisconsin. Hey, John.
Hey, good morning, guys. A few weeks ago, Joe Gibbs had suspended Eric Almirola for a confrontation he had with Bubba Wallace in a meeting. Did anybody ever heard what became of that or what went down? Anybody know anything?
Eric had shoved Bubba is what happened.
Okay.
Oh, that was the one not in the meeting, though. That was done publicly, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was footage of them having a disagreement at Charlotte and shoving each other on pit road. Apparently something happened in a competition meeting. There was an altercation, is all they said. And without having being there, people aren't going to really report exactly what happened, but it resulted in Almirola getting suspended for a number of races, which is now up. He'll be back in the car going forward. But as far as what actually happened, you'd almost have to try to find somebody that was there, and good luck in getting anybody to talk about it.
They kept that one quiet.
We have one guy that's there for one for the money, two for the show. Well, guess what? Bubba's there for the money right now, even though I would say he continues to improve with the exception of shooting himself in the foot once in a while, which is what he did last week at Chicago. Yes, he was frustrated, but he got a $50,000 fine for running into Bowman, putting him in the wall, actually, on the cool-down lap. Come on, dude. You got to be smarter than that. I know you're frustrated, but come on. That's just how it works sometimes. Either way, John. So no one will ever know exactly what happened in that meeting, but all we know is that it was from a meeting where there was a confrontation, and that's the official line coming from the team. Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay. You bet. And if you want to call the program, you can do it so at 414-421-7901. And we'd love to hear from you no matter what the subject matter is having to do with
that deal at Chicago with Wallace and Bowman afterwards. They really frown on retaliation on the cool down lap because the guy probably unbuckled and he might get hit. I think that made a big deal about it. Plus all it was on TV. And a lot of the play it got on social media, I think, forced them to do something about it. Now, interesting enough, Chase Elliott had a similar incident. I think he brake checked, was it Suarez, after that race, and nothing really happened to that. But then that didn't really get on TV, did it?
Nope.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
No, and the other thing.
Go ahead.
The other thing with Bubba's is the Bubba deal happened quite a bit earlier, before the rain delay, and Bubba had like 2 hours to think about it. So NASCAR's mindset is when you take 2 hours to premeditate something, that makes it more severe than a spur-of-the-moment reactive type thing.
There you
that
go.
Makes sense.
First-degree murder versus second-degree murder.
Then again, when you hooked him at Vegas, hooked Kyle Larson a couple years ago, he had about 30 seconds to think about that, and they suspended him for that.
Yeah, he's still learning. He's a work in progress.
And NASCAR is consistently inconsistent.
Of course. And if it wasn't for that, what would we possibly talk about?
Exactly.
Well, there's a couple other good things going on we'll talk about when we come back.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250th weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at wistatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The place to be this Saturday night is the Fair Park in Plymouth. This week, it's the first night of racing for the High School Racing Association. This should be fun watching students display their school colors on the track. Also see the late models, sprint cars, Grand Nationals, and B-Mods. Gates open at 4:30, opening ceremony at 6 p.m. Next week, July 27th, the IRA Sprint Cars return along with the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA Sprints and the B-Mods. We'll see you there.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now. The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick. You could go back in history and watch one athlete play.
Well, I'd say Babe Ruth.
Any chance it would be disappointing?
But you're right. If I'm watching a baseball game and he goes 1 for 4 with a home run, be like, yeah, okay, he's good.
Catch up old Curly's fastball.
Yeah.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
If you're like me, you wondered, just what does this mean, putting Joey Logano in Hailie Deegan's car in the Xfinity Series at Chicago? Well, we're looking to see, we're gonna troubleshoot. We're going to see what the problems are with the car. And immediately, the first thing that came into my head was, well, Logano's going to do better than Hailie Deegan's going to do in the car. He's a he's a two-time champion. The guy's a great driver. Hailie is still learning the game. You know, what are you going to learn about putting Joey Logano in the car other than it'll do better than when Hailie's in it? Well, it was enough. AM Racing, who's well known for what, Dan? What are they well known for anyway? I don't know.
Ford's Xfinity car. I mean, Moffitt drove it before, Hailie. I don't know.
They're a fairly new team, right? They haven't been around that long, I don't believe.
Well, whatever their issue was, they decided that they don't need NASCAR, the Xfinity Series most popular driver, and Hailie Deegan gets the axe. Yeah, she's 22 years old. She'll be 23 years old next week. She's still got a great upside to her. She brings along legions of fans because she's so active on social media. But let's look at the realistic side. She has finished on the lead lap only 4 times all year long. She showed a lot of promise not that long ago. Where did she turn for what was the turn for the worse? What were I don't get it. What happened? Why did she take such a huge step backwards?
That's a tough one to figure out, and they put Josh Berry in the car yesterday, and it kind of went back to its old self. Josh finished 27th. He was on the lead lap, but really wasn't in contention at all. So I don't know. It's really hard to say if it was really Hailie or not. I mean, I just go back to what Bobby Dotter told me a couple years ago about Hailie when she drove one of his cars, which had support from Stewart-Haas Racing, and she did really well. And he thought, she gave a lot of good feedback and was solid with it. Didn't have that with the Truck Series. Thought maybe they'd have it with AM Racing, but I don't know how good that team really is. Yes, Joey Logano did well with it. It's a street race. It's not your run-of-the-mill typical race like you had yesterday where they run so far back. So I still don't know if this is a Hailie Deegan thing or not, but I think she'll land on her feet somewhere. She's well-spoken, has a lot of good sponsorship opportunities behind her, and I hope she lands in NASCAR, but if she goes somewhere else, that could be a big loss for NASCAR.
Well, and I don't want to, I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate here too. I do think people would race Joey Logano differently than they would Hailie Deegan.
True.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
And
so
that's a big part of it too. And I mean, if you think about it, she's showed some potential, and part of it, I think, if you didn't have such a spotlight on her, I mean, and anybody that comes up, anybody that's got the, right away, you're telling everybody she's the next greatest thing without really ever showing it completely on the racetrack. And then every move is amplified. I mean, every time she gets into something, every mistake she makes is blown up bigger. So it's hard to grow that way when you're thinking about not making a mistake because you're just going to get destroyed online everywhere else if you do. I think that's part of it. Now, she's been hanging out at Iowa this weekend at the IndyCar Series, apparently, so people are like, what's up with that? I mean,
here is this another instance where IndyCar is going to be like, oh, maybe we'll take her,
Well, in that Indy Next Series, a seat just opened up this week that was driven by Lindsay Brewer, who was kind of a Hailie Deegan on that series, and her sponsorship or whatever ran out, and she's not in the car anymore. I mean, there's an opening there.
Bum, bum. We need the dramatic music there.
It would be interesting to see Hailie in one of those cars and see how that works. I mean, it's not, especially Indy Next, doesn't have the limelight on her as everybody, as all the other series have, doesn't have the constant TV coverage. She could, master her craft a little more without having all this pressure from everybody watching her. I mean, when you don't have any confidence, that hurts a lot. And I think that's kind of where she's been at. She just gets constantly beat down about it, and it just wears on a person, and you don't concentrate on what you should be doing. I mean, we know she can race. She did it in the ARCA, in the ARCA West series, and was fairly successful. So she has some talent there.
Didn't she get her name really? She got all the initial attention when she took a teammate by the name of Derek Kraus and took him out on the last lap. Was that on the dirt somewhere? And was that an
asphalt? Yeah. That was asphalt.
It was asphalt out on California, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah,
Before that,
County.
Before that, she won the dirt race at Vegas.
That's what it was. And I'll do whatever it takes to win. I'm that kind of racer. And then she takes her teammate out, and that got her some attention, and that got her a lot of social media followers, which apparently seems to work pretty good for some drivers. Brian, I was there when we talked to Bobby Dotter, and he was very, very complimentary of Hailie Deegan and her work ethic and how hard she took it seriously and dedicated herself to it and didn't even want to deal with people coming to her for, pit passes. I think it was her own family. Just take care of yourself. I got things to do here. She was pretty dedicated to the craft, and she impressed the hell out of Bobby Dotter. And that leaves him, that was a good impression I got of her when after that conversation. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so did I. And I came away thinking maybe this move to the Xfinity Series would be, a plus for her and move her up. Then again, the history of that AM Racing group isn't top notch. I mean, they don't have the success that some of the other teams like Junior Motorsports does. But then again, does she deserve a Junior Motorsports ride? Probably not. So it's really hard because you got to have both pieces of the puzzle together to be successful, especially in NASCAR. If you don't have the solid team behind you and you don't have, the top-notch skills you have, you're not going to succeed. And if you have one and not the other, you're not going to succeed either. So that's where this is a tough situation for her, and I don't know if she'll be able to rebound from this or not.
That social media presence is certainly a double-edged sword. As we all know, it brings a lot of attention on you that wouldn't normally be there because, oh my God, she's so great on social media. She's got a lot of fans, a lot of followers. Let's watch very closely, and maybe she's not doing all that different than a typical driver on the upward, swing with her career. I just feel bad for her. either way, were they trying to get blood out of a turnip? That's a very good possibility, too. Maybe she just didn't have it. We'll never know. Maybe she'll get in those Indy cars, and who knows, she'll be the next Danica Patrick. We'll be right back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800. Or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
That job is sort of the Cowboys' job of the NBA. Everything is under the microscope. Everything. And you got LeBron in there as well. So JJ has to be able to filter out all of the naysayers, the criticism. There's going to be so much gossip here.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN. We mentioned that Noah Gragson this week was announced to be the new driver for Front Row Motorsports. Dan, we haven't really figured out what car number that's going to be in, have we?
No, they didn't say. I mean, right now they're running the 34 and the 38, and they're going to have another car because they're going to get one of the Stewart-Haas charters. And they didn't specifically put out car numbers right now. Gilliland's in the 38 this year. Will he stay there? I don't know. The 34, and what's the other one going to be? 36 is usually what they run on a third car.
There's names being thrown around for their third car, and nothing is for sure. We do know Gregson. We do know that Todd Gilliland is going to be another one of the three drivers. But then after that, there's some question marks and some possibilities. One of the names I saw was Sam Mayer. Now, Sam didn't do himself any favors yesterday by taking out SVG in a pretty kind of an ugly takeout. And the SVG is learning this NASCAR thing. He did not trash or say anything bad like he could have about Sam Mayer. He just kind of took a step back from it a little bit. He's a smart guy. Yeah, he's 35 years old. He's been around the block, but he's learning the NASCAR way. We also have Christian Eckes, who is definitely ready to make a step, one way. Would we jump from the trucks up to Cup? I'm not sure about that. And then there's the Zane factor. Dan, how does this all fit in? And what about charters? What about contracts? How does this work?
Well, right now Zane Smith is under Trackhouse contract, running that 71 car as a loaner because they need a charter. Now, next year, if, say, Trackhouse gets one of the Stewart-Haas charters, they'll have three. And they have four drivers because they'll have Suarez, Chastain, SVG, and Zane Smith. Well, somebody's got to be out there, or unless you got to loan him to another team. I can't see them loaning him to a Ford team. Zane used to drive for Front Row in the trucks, and that's why his name's been linked around there. So is Trackhouse going to be forced to maybe let Zane Smith go, or that's the only way I can see him going into that Front Row team. Sam is Sam's ruffling feathers lately. We'll see where he ends up. I think Chandler Smith had a discussion with him on pit road after the race yesterday. Nice. So, look at like that. And who was the other driver you were talking about there?
Eckes.
And Christian Eckes, I don't know. He's coming up through the trucks. He's run okay. That 19 truck stepped up their program before Eckes got in that truck. From what it was the year before and what it is now, it's a lot different. But he's making it work and he's winning races. I don't know what he all brings with him as far as for being in a cup ride. I'm not sure.
Meaning the money. Yeah, you got to have the money with you. And maybe he has it, maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
And you might say, well, that's quite a jump to go from trucks all the way to Cup. However, I hearken back to the days of Kurt Busch. When you said, Mayer's ruffling feathers, nobody ruffled feathers like Kurt Busch did before he moved up to Cup Series, jumping straight from the trucks. And he ruffled in the trucks, he ruffled in Cup, and yet that kind of talent is kind of hard to hold down. And I think Sam Mayer is on the same trajectory. He has the talent. Yes, he's ruffling feathers. Who cares? Get over it. You're racing with this guy. Well, figure something out.
And remember with Kurt Busch when he was in the Daytona 500? It was 2001. I mean, the one where we actually lost Earnhardt halfway through that race. Remember Earnhardt flipped him the bird out the window?
Yep.
Yeah, it's to me, I would want a guy that ruffles feathers myself. That's the one that, as they like to say, you can't push a rope. Well, it's the same thing. You can't put that into somebody. You can scale them back a little bit, but the kind of talent it takes to be a champion, Kurt Busch is absolutely the perfect example. They scaled him back, and he turns out to be one of the greatest drivers there. To me, I just love Kurt Busch and his talent, and to watch him on a racetrack was an amazing thing. So it's just a matter of time, and he'll be around. What about that Alex Bowman last week? Puts himself right into the playoffs. He was right on the border before. We now have 12 different winners. And so we're down to 4 guys that are going to make it on points, and that could change. Martin Truex is at the top of that list, and doesn't look like that's going to change much unless he just has an absolutely disastrous last couple of races. Other guys that are in right now include Ty Gibbs, who's our pole sitter today. Chastain, he's good, but you never know what's around the corner for that guy. And Chris Buescher is 45 positions to the good right now. And behind him, we have Bubba Wallace. That's the next guy behind. So, will Bubba sneak in and maybe win a race yet? That's not beyond the realm of possibility. Plus, Briscoe is 88 points behind, or positions as it turns out. And Rowdy is still out there. Don't tell me that Rowdy couldn't win any race anywhere, and it would be a surprise, and it would be a popular win, as were his wins last year for Richard Childress. So there's still plenty of drama, and time's running out. What do we have? 2 races left?
6.
Six races left.
Pocono, Indy, we take 2 weeks off for the Olympics. Then we have Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, and Darlington this year is the cutoff race. Last year, Darlington was the first race in the playoffs, but everything being shifted, Darlington is the last race now of the regular season.
Yeah, and don't kid yourself, Kyle Busch is wanting to win because he hasn't had a season yet where he didn't win at least once.
Yep, and Chris Buescher, if you remember last year at this particular time, he wasn't even thought of as a contender. He went out and won 2 races right before the start of the playoffs. He won Michigan, and I believe he won Richmond on back-to-back weeks. So that's still out there too to be a strong contender. And Daytona is the ultimate wild card. Anybody could win that race.
Yeah, speaking of 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks off, and like Brian mentioned, is the industry going to shut down just like Keselowski offered a couple of weeks ago? We needed this. We should do this all the time. What are they going to do?
I don't know. Watch the Olympics. That's what NBC wants us all to do, I guess. There's really nothing else. I still don't like the fact that you're stopping it in the very middle of the summer, which is your best weather. We complain about terrible weather when we're racing in February and March and all that kind of stuff. And here now you're in, right in the middle of summer, and we got to take 2 weeks off and stop. I don't know.
As a grassroots short track race lover, I think that could be something really great for all of us fans. I have a feeling a lot of these drivers might actually do some short track racing at that grassroots level. You've got so many of them already involved with the Cars Tour. I could see them getting involved. I think that.
And to the credit of NASCAR on Sirius XM, I was listening to it on my way to Wilmot yesterday, or the day before actually. They're pushing that too. They said, all right, during our 2 weeks off, get out to those short tracks and let's support the short track racing, around the country. That's your chance to really put the spotlight on them. So kudos to NASCAR for kind of pushing that on their networks.
I think the crews are going to be thinking this is going to feel like a month off. We haven't had 2 weeks off in years.
In the middle of summer, the hottest time of year. By the way, Ryan Preece, who raced at Slinger Tuesday night, I asked him point blank about what's going on next year, and he looked me in the eye and said, I'll be fine, don't worry. So there you go. We'll be right back.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at WIStatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
The place to be this Saturday night is the Fair Park in Plymouth. This week, it's the first night of racing for the High School Racing Association. This should be fun, watching students display their school colors on the track. Also see the late models, sprint cars, Grand Nationals, and B-Mods. Gates open at 4:30, opening ceremony at 6 p.m. Next week, July 27th, the IRA Sprint Cars return along with the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA Sprints and the B-Mods. We'll see you there.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
Yeah, baby.
Mike McCarthy is getting fed up with Jerry Jones and the influence there that he's got in Dallas.
This is self-preservation. If it's coming from the Jones side, you're trying to find a way to move on if this team underperforms.
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings 5 to 8 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
A full week of dirt track racing across the country here as we hit the dog days of summer, you could call it. We'll start Tuesday night, Beaver Dam. For the IMCA Modified, Steve Miller was your winner, and on the IMCA Stock Cars was Jeremy Christians. They raced up at Eagle River also Tuesday night. The IMCA Stock Cars, Hot Rod Snellenberger with another big win, and the limited lates went to Zach Frisky. Meeker, Oklahoma, the Red Dirt Raceway for the USAC National Midgets. Dason Persley was your winner. Wednesday night, they raced again at Beaver Dam, the makeup for the World of Outlaws from their rain out on June 1st. $20,000 to win. Giovanni Selzy grabbed the big money there on Wednesday night, picking up the World of Outlaw win. Thursday night, Ogilvie, Minnesota, Mod Wars, night number 1 for the USMTS Modifieds. Dan Ebert was your winner. Quincy, Michigan, the Butler Speedway for the UMP Summer Nationals. That went to Tyler Erb. Bedford, Pennsylvania, the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Models. Bobby Pierce continued his come-from-behind dominance. Remember, he had that big penalty back at Speed Week, so he's got a lot of points to make up to try to win another championship, and he's doing everything he can to do that by clicking off win after win after win. Also Thursday, West Burlington, Iowa, the 34 Raceway, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, Slocum 50, Devin Moran grabbed the win there. Friday night at Chilton Gravity Park in the mods, it was Marcus Hopner. Stock Cars, Tyler Wilson, and Grand Nationals was Jeff Richards. Seymour, the Outagamie County Speedway, the late models were there for $2,000 to win. Jaden Schmidt, I believe that's his first ever late model feature win, if I'm not mistaken, in only his second year. So congratulations to him. The modifieds went to Skylar Woods. Stock Cars, Hot Rod Snellenberger again. Man, this guy took like 10 years off, and he's just picking right back up where he left off, winning and winning and winning.
Yeah,
Darlington,
great name, too.
Oh, yeah, that was Todd's favorite back in the day. We talked about him all the time. Darlington, Lafayette County Speedway, the modifieds went to Jed Freeberger, and limited lates went to Ed Mills. Fountain City, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the USRA modifieds, Brandon Davis, and the USRA limited lates went to Matt Larson. Menominee, the Red Cedar Speedway for the Dwayne Mader 55, $5,555 to win for the Wissota late models. AJ Demo grabbed the win there. The Wissota Mods went to Shane Halapka. Wilmont, I was down there on Friday night for the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars. What a massive crowd. Oh, my goodness. It's one thing about the World of Outlaws. They just pack the place no matter what. It was first of a 2-day show, and Carson Macedo pretty much stunk it up. He won by several seconds. He has that place down to a science as far as getting wins. And one time he had a little bit of traffic with about 20 to go, and a caution came out and freed him up from being in traffic, and he ran away with it after that. The Wisconsin wingless sprint car feature, Ryan Marshall grabbed the win with a late pass to pick up the victory. That was a pretty exciting feature there. Hibbing, Minnesota, the Tom Wazelinski Memorial, won $11,101 to win for the Wissota late models. That went to Shane Sabrowski. In Crystal, Michigan, the UMP Summer Nationals, Tyler Erb continued to win all the Summer Nationals races, it seems. Ogilvie, Minnesota, night number 2 for the USMTS Modifieds, Jake O'Neill grabbed the win. Fairbury, Nebraska, the Jefferson County Speedway for the USAC National Midgets, Justin Grant. In Hartford, Ohio, the Sharon Speedway for the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Models, Bobby Pierce once again. Last night, it looked like we may have our first weekend where we're going to get both weekends of racing in on Friday and Saturday, but not because it got really dark really quickly. I was at Plymouth, and there was lightning crashing all around us. They got all the heat races in. They got the Hall of Fame or the Wall of Fame ceremony in, which is what a lot of people were there for. I know you're going to hear some complaining because they stopped, but they really abbreviated that, did that in about 10 minutes. Rolled out the late models. The late models had a hard time getting laps completed, and we only got 6 laps in with Brad Miller leading. So they're doing equal pay, equal points, and considered it a complete show. Late models will be back at Plymouth next week. Shawano also rained out. Rice Lake rained out. Cedar Lake and the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series down in Missouri rained out. Francis Crick, they got one feature in at the 141 Speedway, and Josh Pierce won the Grand National feature, and then it poured. Wilmont, they moved along really quickly for the sprint cars. Donnie Schatz got the win. I think that ended at like 9:30 last night with lightning crashing all around. So Donnie Schatz got the win. Portsmouth, Ohio for the high limit sprint cars. That went to Rico Abreu. Knoxville, Iowa, the 410 sprints. Austin McCarl was your winner. The 360s went to Aaron Reitzel. Fairbury, Nebraska, night number 2 for the USAC National Midgets. That went to Ryan Timms. Ogilvie, Minnesota, the final night of the Mod Wars for the USMTS Late Models. Jake O'Neill made it 2 on the weekend. Wauseon, Ohio, the Oakshade Raceway for the UMP Summer Nationals. Ashton Winger ended Tyler Erb's run to pick up the win. And finally in Hartford, Ohio, the Sharon Speedway for the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Models. Bobby Pierce again picked up the $15,000 win there, and he still doesn't have the points lead though. So Brandon Shepard keeps finishing second. It's going to be hard to catch. That is everything for this week.
On the pavement side of things, last Sunday at Slinger, the Midwest Trucks ran, and Brandon Reichenberger was your winner. The 602s, it was Dennis Prunty grabbing the checkers. We'll come back to the Slinger Nationals at the tail end of all these results, so we'll move on to Wednesday for now. The UARA Motor Mountain Masters 150 at Jennerstown Speedway in Pennsylvania. Super late model action, Eric Jones was your winner. Yes, that Eric Jones from the NASCAR Cup Series. Notables, Bubba Pollard was third. Johnny Sauter was P9. He was actually leading, I think, when he had a tire go down with just a handful of laps left. So unfortunate for Sauter there. Thursday night, Wisconsin International Raceway had the rescheduled white race after the rain out last week. Super late models, Chad Butts was your winner. Late models, Alex Stumpf. Up at State Park Speedway in Wausau, Justin Mondyke and Brock Heinrich battling back and forth. Heinrich actually crossed the line on the transponder by 5/1000ths of a second at the line, but it was discovered that his transponder was mounted a half an inch too far forward per the rules.
A half inch?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not 5,000ths, is it?
It's actually probably a little bit more than 5,000. It's 5.005 seconds.
Mm-hmm. But half an inch, that's pretty bad.
They're close. Anyway, Mondyke ended up as the winner at that one. Either way, Toby was happy. It was 2 Toby cars.
He went the real winner. Toby Noodleman. That's outstanding.
Actually, the real winner, I think, were the fans, because that was a heck of a whopper of a battle there. Friday night at Madison International Speedway, double late model features. Zach Riddle picking up both 30-lap feature wins. Also a Toby car. Just saying. Golden Sand Speedway, they also ran pro late models on Friday night. Jason Stark was your winner. Last night, a lot of action getting rained out. Dells got rained out. Mike Litchfield was able to set the fast time. And Justin, how do you pronounce his last name? I don't even know. Okruh. There we go. I didn't want to butcher your last name, Justin, but he was the fast qualifier for the UMA Mods but they didn't get to race because of the rain. Lacrosse rained out. Grundy County Speedway was supposed to be hosting the Midwest Tours Wayne Carter Classic. They got rained out after practice, so everybody had to pack up and go home. Yeah. Jefferson Speedway also cut short on rain. And then the Southern Super Series ran at the Nashville Fairgrounds for the North-South Challenge. Casey Roderick was your winner. Stephen Nassy was P2, Bubba Pollard third. So that's the results. We can circle back now to the Slinger Nationals on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night at Slinger Nationals, the 45th annual. And
let's do this after the break.
Yeah, let's circle back.
Real good idea.
A lot to unpack.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, lots to unpack. We'll be right back.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
Yeah, baby. A stunning development in the world of sports. J.J. Redick is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I mean, what's their other option if it's not J.J. Redick? I'm not going to criticize the hire. Who knows? Maybe J.J. Redick could be a really good head coach.
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings, 5 to 8 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
All right, so let's mention that Slinger Speedway's 45th annual Slinger Nationals was Tuesday night, and it really was a case of good news, bad news. I was really happy for Andrew Morrissey for winning. He said it was one of his life's goals. I was really happy for Dave McCardle, who owned the car. Of course, Andrew Morrissey built the car. Dave McCardle bought it. They teamed up and they put a really good car on the fast. Unfortunately, the car did not pass post-race inspection. And Brad Miller, boy, there's a guy that 6 times finished second in the Nationals, was one of the most important things for Bradley to win in his career also. And, he won it, but it wasn't exactly the way he wanted to win it. He would have liked to have got out of the car as the winner, and that just didn't happen. You win the money, but you didn't work out exactly the way you wanted. So it was good news, bad news. Zach Prunty wins in the late model portion of the show Tuesday night. Boy, there's been a lot of comments, social media. Everyone wants to give an opinion, for which, not only do I not have an opinion, I was home in bed sleeping when Bradley won the thing. And then the next morning, I sent a text to Lance Allen, who says, "What'd you think of the surprise winner?" I'm going, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Somebody got DQ'd," and I didn't even realize it until the morning. Which, this is just like, seems to me that's not what you want. They do that kind of stuff at the Snowball Derby, and you don't find out till the next day. Well, you got to pass inspection, and if you don't, this is what happens. And I feel terrible for McCardle and Morrissey, but at the same time, I feel so great for Brad Miller for winning the money. And speaking of money, gee whiz, soda cents. It wasn't enough that we had $20,000 match the winner's portion in just fan donations for lap money. But the guy, this Mike from Soda Sense, throws in $5,000 for one lap. and it wasn't revealed what that lap was until after the race, so they wouldn't drive over each other to win the $5,000. Turns out it was lap 113, and Paulie Schaefer's car with a very happy Derek Thorne driving won it. He like $13,000 in lap money for Derek Thorne. Can you imagine that? There was a surprise, and thanks to everybody that put money in for that. And
especially Dan Casey. My goodness, that's a lot of legwork that he and his friends had all put in to help get that money rolling.
Yes, and that's a very good way to put that. And Dave Ausloose and Craig Zeller were as much a part of it as Dan Casey was too. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, that's something we should really be proud of up here in Wisconsin for doing that. I don't think you can get that anywhere else.
No.
That kind of donations and money coming just pretty much out of fans, drivers, sponsors, everybody that was at that track contributed to that. And I think that's something we should be proud of.
Yes, no doubt. By the way, I'm sure that many people have many opinions on the outcome at Slinger Speedway. We're not going to discuss it on the radio, but if you're listening online, I have a pretty good idea. It's coming during the Hangover show, so you might want to stay tuned for that. So, we're not very good at picking winners around here. Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. Last week, nobody ever picks Alex Bowman anymore, do they? I don't think so.
I was almost there. If Reddick doesn't hit the wall coming out of turn, 4 over there, I think he might have passed old Alex Bowman on the end there. He just clipped it. He was coming like a house of fire with those slick tires on.
All right, well, I'm taking first round draft choice today. You can all guess what you want. Kyle Larson to win today. All right, let's go to let's try PJ next. He hasn't choice in a while.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with. I was kind of waffling on this. I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin.
All right, Dan.
I think it's a Toyota day. I agree with PJ, but I'm gonna go with Martin Truex Jr. They painted his name on the start-finish line today.
Oh wow.
All right, Brian, you get last round here.
Ty Gibbs has got to win a race sooner or later, and this is where he made his Cup Series debut. So from the poll, I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs.
All right, that's interesting. Oh, you all take those Toyotas, do you? Well, I'll just go with a Chevrolet here. Chevrolet, as they say. Hey, don't forget the LTN podcast is available on iHeart, iTunes, and all major platforms, as is PJ's outstanding video podcast, Racing Nuggets. Who is on this week's episode, Peach?
Well, right now you can see Luke Fenhouse. He was our latest guest. But on this coming Tuesday, Tommy White, flagman for the Midwest Tour. He's been a track official for years and involved in racing behind the scenes. He's got some really great stories to tell, and Tom White will be our guest on Tuesday.
All right, outstanding. This is, as you know, it's such a trick. They call it the tricky triangle for a reason. Not only are all three turns different radiuses and radii, I think that's what it is, and different banking, and just you got to pick one of the three turns out to do your best in, and then do the best you can in the other two. But it's the high speeds really that you have to think about. They averaged 170 at this place, so it's pretty crazy track, and there's a lot to watch today.
Plenty of other racing
personally,
today too.
I think
IndyCar starts at the top of the hour from Iowa on the Oval, so got to give our IndyCar friends some love.
Yeah, that's a fact. The ones that are the same ones that are coming to the Milwaukee Mile on Labor Day weekend, are those the ones you're talking about, Brian?
Yes, Oval racing today, Oval racing at the Mile at the end of the summer.
All right, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. And as we want everybody to remember, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losey, and for all of us involved with the program, we appreciate you tuning in every week. We'll talk to you next week. buddy.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of the station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.